always get to choose in this life, win and lose in this life. But I'ma prove in this life, we can move in this life. Can't change up, my team too real, so we stay up. Yeah, this is our year, can't change up. My team too real, so we stay up. Yeah, this is our year, can't change up. My team too real, so we stay up. Yeah, this is our year, can't change up. My team too real, so we stay up. Yeah, this is our year.
Yo, welcome to episode 7, season 1 of the Diamond State Scouting Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Branch, with my good friend Josh Wingate. We're short Bret tonight. He might pop in a little bit later, but we're gonna go with the 2-man show tonight. So
Fingers
how's it
crossed.
going, man?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Just got done coaching my daughter's basketball team. We're not supposed to check the standings, but we're 1-0.
There you go.
We're going 2-0 this weekend, brother.
There you go. Yeah, I've been busy. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I started working on my background for this. I'm going to get a whiteboard, start working on like a big board back here that I can have rolling.
That's
and
it.
I got some pretty badass, we were talking about it earlier. I got a Captain America picture. I got a Spider-Man picture from the blip where he's like blipping away.
Oh, that's dope, man.
Yeah, and then my wife for Christmas, because I do the Beer and Sports podcast.
Yes, indeed. Shout out
She
to
got
you.
me this bottle opener.
Stop. Thanos, man. Thanos, I think that a great. All right, so I'm going to start there, man. I think I put my top 5 MCU movies
There we go.
on my social media, man.
I've been wanting to talk about this for a while.
Let's get into it, man. Tonight's going to be a conversation, man.
Yeah,
So,
there we go.
I did my top 5 MCU movies, and at the top, I have No Way Home. I'm biased to Spider-Man. To me, he's the GOAT superhero, but I think No Way Home was remarkably done. The way they weaved in non MCU Spider-Man.
I was about to say, we don't want any spoiler alerts here.
No. we weaved in some. I'll say we weaved in some history into the MCU. I'll leave it at that. I thought it was remarkably done. And then for my other 4, I got Winter Soldier, which I'm catching some backlash about for Winter Soldier. I can't believe that. Black Panther, Civil War, and Endgame are my top 5 MCU movies. We had a great chat about that earlier today, man.
Yeah.
I know we had some opinions on that.
I did. I feel like if you're talking about movies, like all the Avengers are going to win immediately because they have all the characters, they're great, whatever. So I always like to talk about the standalone movies. And I think number 1 has to be Civil War just because it's basically an Avenger movie, but standalone. And then Black Panthers. I mean, it's great. I love Black Panther. He's amazing. And I love like Wakanda. Like Wakanda is like the heart and soul of the MCU. Like everything is built off of Wakanda. They fix everything. They're basically the heart and soul of the superhero world.
They built that. They built it that way, and it transpired into the next Avengers movies. But when you're speaking about what you said about Black Panther and about Civil War, and even with the gift your wife gave you, which shout out to your wife, man, dope gift. But I think that the thing that makes a great superhero movie is the villain. So when you're speaking about Civil War, the villain was like, you got half the theater split. Half the theater is Team Iron Man. I was Team Iron Man, and the other half of the theater is.
Oh, you're Iron Man.
Absolutely.
Oh, come on! I'm Cap all the way.
And I feel bad because I say I'm Team Iron Man, but I didn't have Iron Man 1 is probably my number 6 of the top 5. So, but yeah, I'm Team Iron Man. I mean, think about it. Iron Man, he brought in Spider-Man. So I'm gonna say Team Iron Man.
Okay, yeah.
Because he brought in Spidey.
So I would assume Far From Home was pretty big for you then, because you kind of see the evolution of Spider-Man trying to become Iron Man. Like, and you see Happy on the plane, and he looks out, gives him a little smile. It's like, yeah, there he is, Tony Stark all over again.
Man, all right. So we're having a conversation on here in the Diamond State Scouting Podcast tonight. I'm gonna be honest. If you catch me and you ask me what my favorite movies are in the MCU, I would say Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home. I'm
not a big Homecoming fan.
And yeah, Homecoming was the introduction, and Homecoming was the introduction, and it wasn't the best introduction when you compare it to like Iron Man or the first Cap. But I'm gonna be very clear that Spider-Man, since little Adrian was running around and like, the house, I wanted to be Spider-Man. Peter Parker. The whole story, man, it's super cool to me. So to see that play out on screen, and you mentioning Far From Home, yeah, man. I think the way they brought him into the MCU as like the apprentice to Iron Man was super dope, and he's now made his imprint on the MCU. So
it is pretty cool because, I mean, we'll touch on this a little bit more and get into it because I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I came for scouting. But, and if you came for scouting and you're here for Marvel, that's even better. We like you even more.
Yeah, man.
But
you can't tell me you haven't seen. If you're here for scouting, you haven't seen the superhero movie.
Yeah, damn right. And then my wife is brand new into it. Like, she got me that, didn't even know what it was. And
shout out to your wife, man.
She was like Iron Man, and I'm like, oh, it's not Iron Man, but I mean, kind of, sort of Iron Man, because he has one too.
He does.
So we watched from New Year's Eve until last week. She has seen every single MCU movie, like crushed them all.
That's the difference between girlfriends and wives. Shout out to your wife, man. Taking the plunge, man.
And we watched it chronologically. So it was pretty cool. So she got to see Black Widow in the order it actually happened.
Yes, indeed.
Not when it got released. Mm-hmm. And she got that little, at the end of Black Widow, every Marvel movie has that little clip at the end. And she's like, what? What is this? And then she also got introduced to Spider-Man via Civil War.
Yes, indeed.
So it's cool. Like I loved watching chronologically because you get to see events how they happen, when they happen, not when they released the movie.
They have that. I think that's on Disney Plus,
yep.
where they have it where you can watch it chronologically.
A parent's best friend.
Yeah, man. I think it's super dope to watch it that way. And just to speak to you sitting watching those movies, the ones that stand out, they have to do with the villain. So we were speaking about Black Panther, and I think that when I saw Black Panther, villain. I said, man, Killmonger is such a great villain that people are like pulling for him by the end of the movie, and they don't know which way to go. Are you with T'Challa or are you with Killmonger? And the same thing with Thanos. I actually have a Thanos t-shirt upstairs. Thanos, he just had enough, man. He just wanted things to go.
Do you agree with him?
No, I don't agree.
No, okay. I don't agree. There's people that do. There's people that do. And I mean, but I'll sit there and have the conversation. There's people that agree. Me and you, we talked before the show started. You're a Cowboys fan. I'm an Eagles fan. The essence of life. All right. The essence of life is being able to have a conversation with somebody and not agree with them, but be able to see things down the middle. And this is awesome. This is a great conversation we're having on Diamond State Scouting. Damn right.
The essence is being able to say in these movies that end up making it into the upper echelon of the MCU, and saying this villain, I don't agree with him, but I see where he's coming from. And then you have that's the key to having a proper antagonist in the movie. And I think that Thanos, Killmonger, they take the cake, man.
For sure. I'll make sure and I'm retweeting this and letting everyone know you're coming for scouting and staying for Marvel.
That's it, man.
For Avengers.
That's it. The Marvel podcast is coming soon, man.
Oh man, I've brought that up to people. I would love to do something like that. So, are you into the TV shows?
I'm into the TV shows. I'm not as caught up as I'd like to be. I've been a little busy, and I'm gonna shift just for a second, I know we said we
Yeah.
weren't going to do this. I'm going to shift for a second when you speak about TV shows. I'm interested in Peacemaker. I think John Cena does a great job of playing Peacemaker. I'm going to come right back to MCU, but I want to start out Peacemaker real quick. Go ahead.
What movies haven't you seen?
What movies haven't I seen?
Sorry, shows, TV shows.
I've seen The Falcon and Winter Soldier. I haven't finished WandaVision yet. And whenever I tell somebody I haven't finished WandaVision, they tell me I need to finish that.
You need to finish one. Like, that's the best TV show of all Marvel.
See?
How far deep are you?
I think I'm about halfway in.
So you've seen the crazy episode where you're like, watch it and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You've seen that one?
Yeah,
I can't say any more because I don't want to spoil it.
You don't want to spoil it.
Yeah.
I need to.
It's in a hospital. I'll say that much. The scene in the hospital.
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh,
I'm backing
buddy.
off. I'm backing off.
Oh, you need to just need to binge because it literally blows your mind from the whole entire Marvel universe. It might be the great, like, it should win a Emmy. Just for real, just off of this scene, you watch it and you're like, oh my god, like that is absolutely nuts. Like, I can't go any further. You have to watch this, and we'll get into scouting here soon because I feel like, yeah, but you need, like, I could talk about this for 2 hours, but
I'll tell you what. I've watched up to. I must have seen. I feel like I watched half. The way that you just told me, like, hey, look, this shifts the focus in the MCU. I'm in.
Oh my goodness.
I'm in. I've seen everything, but I haven't seen WandaVision. I'm on here talking to my good friend Josh Wingate tonight. We're about to get into the Senior Bowl, but I'm in, man. Once we get
done. One of the greatest scenes, whether good or bad, is when Thanos goes, and it changes the whole entire universe.
Absolutely. Oh, so you're saying that this scene in WandaVision has to do with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And it's amazing. It really is.
Okay. I've been really. All right. This is how I'm going to transition. I've been so into the NFL, and I just talked to you earlier. I've been so into the NFL playoffs and watching what's going to happen, what's going to transpire with the NFL. I feel like it's wide open in the playoffs this year. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I got the Cincinnati Bengals going to the AFC Championship game. I really like Joe Burrow. But I'm saying that to transition, but I'm also saying that to say we don't have as much football, clearly, because teams were eliminated this weekend as we did last weekend. So I'm giving you my word that by the time we get on the next Diamond State Scouting podcast, I will have that. I will have WandaVision.
There you go.
I'm pledging it to you.
It's in the beginning. It's a hard watch. WandaVision is, but then after that one scene, it's like, oh my god! Like, I got to the point. I was okay. I'm done watching this. It's boring.
It. I'll be honest with you. The last thing I remember was like a talent show, and I just wasn't feeling it. You know, I was watching. They were having a talent show or something, and I'm like, man, where are we going with this? Man?
Oh yeah, you're not. If that's the last thing you see, you're not there. You're very close to that, and you need to get there and keep watching. It's amazing.
I'm in, man. I'm in. When we complete tonight's episode, I will begin my quest to finish WandaVision. I pledge to you, I will begin to watch WandaVision, and by the time we chat again on the Diamond State Scouting podcast, I will have it finished, and we will open the show with talking about WandaVision and the scene that shifts the focus in the MCU.
And I got the perfect transition.
What you got?
Wanda might be and is the greatest and strongest superhero in the MCU universe. That's easy, hands down. But from the beginning, she was the most raw superhero. She didn't know what she was doing. She didn't know how to control her powers. And after watching more of Malik Willis, he's a little raw, but I feel like he has that potential to be the best quarterback out of this draft.
I love that. I love you. I love the transition.
Yeah.
Shout out to Josh. You're a pro at this. But When I hear a lot when I'm watching the NFL playoffs, I hear this is not a quarterback draft. This is not a quarterback draft.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, are you really paying attention to the draft? There might be a sleeper. There might be somebody that can shift a franchise around, and Malik Willis might be that guy. I think that.
Yeah. So I think when people say that is this is more what have you done for me lately league, and because I talked about this somewhere yesterday, and I was like, this like fans are play to play at this point. Like it's not what did you do in the game. It's well you missed that pass last. You suck, and
Right.
we've gotten to where the NFL and quarterbacks are. If you're not good year one, then you're nothing. But people forget Peyton Manning's first year, he broke the record for rookie interceptions.
That's right.
And now we're looking at Trevor Lawrence, his year. He had a bad year, but he was also in a bad situation, like very bad situation. Urban Meyer sucks. He had that. His receivers weren't good. But let him have a couple years. Like it wasn't too long ago that quarterbacks would sit for a year and maybe 2 years and then get the start and then play and you would kind of see what you thought of them then.
That's so true because I mean we're talking about maybe the greatest quarterback in the league right now, and look how long he sat behind Brett Favre. Talking about Aaron Rodgers,
Yeah,
and he sat behind Brett Favre, and now he's probably going to win the second MVP in a row this year. So when you look at Trevor Lawrence and you look at some of these QBs that are coming out now, you throw them into the fire, and I think a lot of that has to do with fan bases and with the teams. Ownership saying we want to get this guy out here. We want to like the whole win now thing. But you got to groom these guys, man.
for sure. And so I watched. My wife hates me right now, but I've since January started. I'm putting a mission on to watch every player in the Senior Bowl, and I'm getting mad at the Senior Bowl. Not mad. I appreciate what they're doing because they added one of my boys, Cade Mays. But I got done all the offensive players, and then I look on Senior Bowl's Twitter page, and they're adding some more offensive players and everything daily, and I'm like, come on now. But I watched the quarterbacks, and Kenny Pickett, I feel like coming into the Senior Bowl, he's the number one guy throughout the entire draft process, quarterback wise.
Yep.
I think he's the top quarterback just because of the season he had. You look at what Joe Burrow's doing. He kind of had a Joe Burrow-esque season.
Joe Burrow, my guy.
Yeah, and you see what Kenny Pickett was in 2020, and you kind of like watching his film. I graded him as like a 6th, 7th round pick. But then in your head while you're watching, you're like, man, if he just did this differently, did that differently, he could be a 1st round pick. And he came back the next year and he did that differently, did this differently. And I think you're seeing him as the top dog. And I also stated today, I was talking to some people at work, and they were like, I don't know who's going to go first. And I was like, well, Kenny Pickett probably is your first guy, but it's going to be who do I like more? Because you could see Desmond Ridder go number one. You could see Carson Strong go number one. There's a lot of people that think Sam Howell could still go number one. And Malik Willis is there. He's the most potential talented guy, and people might see, I don't know who you could see in him because he's unreal when it comes to his arm strength.
That's right.
Throwing off platform. It's just, there's something there not clicking with him. And his film it's like the complete opposite of Kenny Pickett. 2020 was amazing. Like, 1st overall pick, no problem. And then you come to this year and you're like, what happened? It's like a completely different quarterback.
True. So when you're looking at quarterbacks this year, I have an opinion about Kenny Pickett. I want to stay there for a second.
Yeah.
When you're looking at quarterbacks and you go back to what we spoke on about grooming, I think that a guy like Kenny Pickett, you could be looking at somebody going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, leaving Pittsburgh and going to Pittsburgh Steelers and being that guy for them for a while. If they can get him in there. I read an article that said that Pittsburgh was looking for a mobile QB as like a stopgap guy, like a Marcus Mariota to get. So you drafted Kenny Pickett, let him sit for a year or two behind Marcus Mariota, and you might have like your franchise QB.
So I think we talked about this too. In the beginning of the process, I was like, man, Kenny Pickett in Pittsburgh, that's like the perfect match.
Right.
You get your guy in early, and then we get our guy in. Bret is here. What is up, Bret?
Love.
So, but the more and more I watch players for this draft, and I'm just going to state, I'm going to give you my top quarterbacks in this Senior Bowl. Kenny Pickett's number 1, Malik Willis number 2, Carson Strong number 3, Desmond Ridder number 4, Sam Howell number 5, and I don't know how to say his last name, but I'm going to Bailey Zappi or Zappi or whatever you want to say, Western Kentucky quarterback. Is 6. So Carson Strong is I think the most ideal player to fit into that Pittsburgh offense. He's got a huge rocket arm.
So he's like a Ben Roethlisberger style of player. I won't say he is Ben Roethlisberger because
he's not the big
as well.
You're saying Big Ben doesn't move as well, or
no?
Carson Strong doesn't
move. Carson Strong doesn't move. He can't run as well as Big Ben did, like when Big Ben was younger, right? But Carson Strong moves in the pocket really well. So a lot of people get that mixed up. They think because you're not a runner or whatever that you're not good in the pocket. Well, look at Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. These guys were slow. They're not very fast runners at all. They're not great athletes, but they move in the pocket really well with pocket manipulation. And Carson Strong, actually, that's one of his best parts of his game is actually he moves in the pocket really well, and he sees the field really well with his size. He's going to intrigue a lot of teams, especially teams like old school guys. Yeah.
Okay.
I think he needs to work. He needs to work on his short passes because he doesn't really have that touch to his pass in the short range. But his mid to deep passes are beautiful. He can get it to the quarterback or to the receiver. And I'm looking at my notes. I'm like, man, I just remember him being like making some moves on his feet, but then I have statue in the pocket.
He actually, I like his size and everything. I like his arm strength. You can't coach any of that. But then, like, are you getting like a John Skelton, guy with a big arm, good size, or are you getting like maybe a Joe Flacco or a Ben Roethlisberger? Are you getting a guy who could actually play? But I think there's going to be some teams intrigued with him just because you can't coach that size and that arm strength and everything. Yeah. So I mean, part of what made Kaepernick like so popular is his arm strength, like the fact that he could run too. I mean, but outside of that, the dude he could throw all over the field with ease with a flick of a wrist, and people love that about him. So, and he wasn't polished at all. Like, you remember when he came in, he was rough around the edges. Like, he could throw deep. Like, his intermediate passes were like how Vic was, where he would just, like, cannon it every throw. So it's like, but people still love the fact that how he was big and he could throw the ball. And then he added the athlete part. But Carson Strong has, like, that size and, like, that imposing size that, like, a lot of teams look for. So, I don't know. I do see a lot of teams intrigued in him. And, like, the way he throws the ball is kind of impressive. I mean, like, it's effortless, and he has a cannon. I mean, you're talking like Josh Allen level arm. Like, and that's a big arm. Not the athleticism, but a huge arm. Yeah. And look, if you get him day 2, I think he's going to be. I think it was day 1. I think these quarterbacks are jumping up. Yeah. Like I said, Steelers. I could ideally see him going to Steelers. But like, if his value to me, like day 2, so where like if he doesn't pan out, then you're not pressured to start him. You can polish him a little bit, and hey, if he works out, great. If not, whatever. Like look at Drew Lock with Denver. Like, okay, he's got potential. He's got an arm. He's got ability. Or he's not panning out. Okay, whatever. Move on. You're not stuck with like his top 5.
Yeah, I think he's a better prospect than Drew Lock was.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like in an aspect where you're not rushed to start.
I don't think you have a first. I don't think you have a first-round quarterback in this entire draft. But with the way the draft goes,
somebody will get drafted first round.
They're all going to be pushed up, and I think you could easily see, with the need of quarterbacks, you're going to see maybe 4 or 5 quarterbacks go in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
but I think that goes back to your point that teams have to be patient with the quarterbacks this year. So when you're saying this is not a quarterback year, it might not be the Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, we're going to put you guys out day one. It's the year where you draft a guy and know that he's going to sit for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and, that's the problem. You have to be able to evaluate that. So if you're a team that needs a quarterback to win now, let's say like the Colts, I'm not really looking in this draft.
Yeah.
I may be riding Carson Wentz one more year, or I'm like going after Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, somebody. You know what I mean? Like this isn't a draft where I'm like, I need a quarterback now. This is a draft where like, I have an older quarterback. I could take a chance on one this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm the Colts, I'm finding the pieces to help my future rookie quarterback come in and play well. Like, I might go get that left tackle. I might go get that receiver. I might just try and build the offense so I have a perfect scenario for a rookie to come in and excel.
Yeah. Well, I don't look at the Lions. Like, do you ride Jared Goff one more year, or do you put all your eggs in one basket for the quarterback this year?
I think you do.
If I'm Dan Campbell, I don't know unless somebody just blows me away in this draft, in this process. I don't know that I'm putting my job on the line with a quarterback because your job rides with the quarterback.
Yeah.
So that's just my point of view. Like I don't know that I would unless it's one that I just like. You know what? I can win with him, but like I don't know.
Yeah, you're not
23 is a really good draft for a quarterback so far.
You don't have, what do they have, the first pick or the second pick? Second pick, right? The
second.
You're not taking Kenny Pickett second when you have possibly your perfect player for you, Aiden Hutchinson, that could be there. Like, that would be a match made in heaven. We talked about that prior on the show.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't see you doing that. I really can't.
No.
Go get your guy.
That's why this draft is crazy. What's up?
I want to, real quick, Brett, I want to piggyback off what you said. I think that when teams in the first round are thinking, do I want to draft a stud at defense or a stud on the offensive line? Yes, because this year, I think you're going to see like a sweepstakes for Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Derek Carr. There's a lot of free agency that's going to happen or trades that's going to happen with some established quarterbacks. So where teams are going to say, you know what? I want to take a swing for the fences with Russell Wilson versus going after a quarterback in the draft. If you feel like your team needs that quarterback to get you over the hump in the playoffs, you're going to take a shot at somebody like Russell Wilson or Derek Carr.
No, yeah, exactly. And if like a team like the Colts, like Frank Reich, I mean, he's starting to like run out of chances. So he might go with that veteran quarterback route. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying Frank Reich is a bad coach because honestly, he's done really well with the team. I think they have something going there, but they're literally a quarterback away. So you might not have a coach or a team that wants to go after that. Like, but then you look like the Eagles. Like, does Nick Sirianni want to keep tying to Jalen Hurts? Or does he want to go with a different route, the quarterback? But are you going to really find an upgrade in this draft class over Jalen Hurts? In my opinion, I don't think you're going to find someone over Jalen Hurts when you could just build around him. So their scenario might be different. So like, I'm looking at all these scenarios and I'm thinking like, how many people keep having like 5-6 quarterbacks in the first round? I'm like, but these teams, are they going to do that? Maybe the Vikings to replace Kirk Cousins long term, or I don't know. Kind of like
I think that happens. And my perfect player for that scenario is Malik Willis.
I can see that.
I would love for Malik to go to Minnesota and be able to sit. Kirk Cousins is an intelligent quarterback. Sit if he's willing to teach him, let him teach him. But I think Willis needs to sit and learn, not be thrown to the wolves.
I think Kirk Cousins could be that Alex Smith, but I don't think there's a Patrick Mahomes. However, it's ironic because Alex Smith was the quarterback of the 49ers when they drafted Colin Kaepernick. And then Colin Kaepernick took over the next year. So, I wonder if like they kind of do that. And they remember they got Kaepernick in the second round. That wasn't a great quarterback draft either. That was Cam Newton and pretty much everybody else in 2011. So, like they had Blaine Gabbert that year too, and he was bad. So, are you a team? And look, Kaepernick helped them get to a Super Bowl. And now I still don't think he was like a great quarterback. but he was good enough to lead the team and be a playmaker for him. So,
that's a whole nother conversation, Brett. That's a great coach that might be coming back pretty soon.
Yeah. So, well, I'm just wondering, like, does a new coach maybe grab a guy in the second round, third round in this draft, and then, say, hey, I'm just going to try it with this, day 2 guy. I'm not really going to hitch my wagon to him. And if it doesn't work out, I'll get a different quarterback or something. And then you got like a veteran like Kirk. So the Vikings could be in that kind of situation because they have a talented team. I don't think they're that far off. And they need to stick with a similar system that they had.
They get the right coach.
I don't know. Who can you see going with quarterback in this draft? I don't know. Like maybe Seattle.
I mean, I'd have to look at the draft order real quick.
Oakland, do they Robert Mariota? Do they keep Carr? Do they trade Carr and start over and rebuild, or
Well, that's interesting.
Oakland. I'm sorry, Las Vegas.
Yeah,
Washington. Washington's a team I think will go quarterback.
Definitely has to go for a quarterback.
They have.
You could see the Giants take a quarterback. Giants could take a quarterback. Carolina could take a quarterback. Atlanta could take a quarterback. Denver, Washington, Minnesota.
Atlanta could take a. But see, now hold on. I'm not saying these teams don't need it, but how many do you think go in the first round? Atlanta makes sense because of Matt Ryan. I think 4 or 5. I think 4 to 5 quarterbacks could go in the first round. I don't know,
but I'm not saying they're going to go to these teams necessarily. I'm saying teams that have an option to get a quarterback. Houston, I missed. So these teams could possibly take a quarterback. Not saying they will. Detroit, Houston, Giants, Carolina, Atlanta, Denver, Washington, Minnesota, Cleveland.
Houston,
New Orleans,
Davis Mills. It's going to be exciting.
Quarterback.
So I'm going to be tracking the quarterback moves as soon as the trades are announced and as soon as the free agency is announced. Because right now, as you're announcing these teams, we've heard rumors about Derek Carr, Russell Wilson.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
He's staying. Kirk Cousins.
When I got to the Raiders, I wasn't going to call. I was going to say them because they have Derek Carr. But if they get rid of Derek Carr, that's going to eliminate another team that needs a quarterback.
Right. No, it's just interesting though. It's going to be teams that might now need. It's going to be.
I think you have 11 teams in this draft that could go after a quarterback. Not saying they will, because we already said we don't think Detroit's going to. I don't think Davis Mills is that guy, and Davis Mills isn't that guy for the new head coach.
Right.
But hang on, now he might be the guy for this year. He might be the guy.
He might be, but
enough to be the guy this year to put a team on the field to draft.
The key thing in that,
and then draft next year.
If that was the case, David Culley never should have got fired. By the way,
that's what I'm saying. So he's not the guy for the new regime. They kept the GM? Did they keep the GM?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Nick Caserio fired Culley after Brian Flores got fired. And Brian Flores and Nick Caserio have a close relationship because Brian Flores was a scout first with New England, and he worked under Caserio, and then he became a coach. And Flores wanted Easterby to move from the Texans to the Dolphins with him as a senior exec, and he didn't. So, and then Watson's there in Houston. I'm not saying Watson will
still can't
but Flores could really be the coach in Houston. And I can see Flores keeping Davis Mills for a year and then going to get a quarterback in 23. Because quarterbacks pretty much what got him fired in Miami.
That's exactly right.
So
all facts.
I'm going to go on a little rant here for a little bit. So Brian Flores gets fired.
And then got fired.
His path to the NFL was, as you said, he was front office. He was what was it when he first came into a coordinator? Not a coordinator, but he was he charted.
He was he was a safeties coach and a linebackers coach, and then he was New England gives him that. I forgot the title. New England gives you you're the coordinator, but you're not the play caller, or you're you're situational play caller, and they give
his path to the NFL head coaching job was, I'm going to touch every single place in this organization, and then I'm going to move on. And then we got a guy over here in Dallas that his path was, I was your backup quarterback. I'm your quarterback's coach, offensive coordinator, and
Now
now I'm a genius that I can't do any wrong. I'm the play caller. Offense looks like garbage, but I'm still a genius. Mike McCarthy gets all the blame, and I possibly can get a head coaching job this year. While Brian Flores, who has looked good as a head coach, I personally think, after rattling off 7 straight wins.
But he's mean.
Yeah, right? Sorry that he speaks his mind.
Sorry, but from what I understand is more players were upset that he was fired than that were happy that he was gone.
Exactly.
The ones that were happy he was gone were the ones that weren't performing or the ones that couldn't handle tough coaching. Yeah. Like when he said, you better block or you won't be here. Well, that's like my boss telling me, hey, you better fix that equipment or you're not going to have a job if you keep
go to
solid.
Go to Joe Philbin's next team and you can be crying over there about how mean somebody is.
I don't know. Joe Philbin was pretty strict with the Dolphins, but he was like passive aggressive with it, so it was kind of the players kind of walked all over him. At first, it was very assertive.
I'm a big fan of Eric Bieniemy getting a head coaching gig, but I feel like in this cycle, there's not out of all the jobs that are available, there's some I wouldn't want. I'd rather stay in KC and be the offensive coordinator than go to a team as a head coach and get 1 year and get the axe.
That's my opinion too. So I think as Eric Bieniemy, he's to the point like earlier, like when he first name was being called for head coach, you could be like, yeah, I'm going to take it. I'm excited for this opportunity. But now that he's been passed over a couple times, he's done interviews, he's at the opportunity like, no, I don't want your stupid job. Like your team sucks. It's not the perfect situation for me. I'll take another one because what do I know? I might get passed up again.
Yeah,
exactly.
For being lazy and disorganized.
Yeah, I heard he's not a great interviewer, but like remember, if they've already interviewed you, all they have to do is bring you back in, or just call you on the phone, have a conversation with you, and like, all right, yeah, he's our guy. So a lot of these teams have already interviewed him, so he's not going to interview again for a lot of these teams. And if I'm him, I'm not touching a lot of these jobs. I like the Giants organization, but I'm glad that they got him in to retire and looking for a GM. But the Bears and Giants are actually intriguing spots.
Absolutely.
But the Giants worry me like what GM they're going to get. Same thing with the Bears, but the Bears have Justin Fields. So Eric Bieniemy and Justin Fields could be a good combination. But
the Bears is a good job.
Yeah, and like then you look at Jacksonville and you're like, I like Trevor Lawrence, but man, I'm worried about the front office and the ownership. You look at Miami, like you're always getting fired every 3 years.
Yeah,
and they're always like picking sides. So, but the head coach side, I mean, the next cycle's the GM's out. So, but like these jobs are not attractive. Minnesota isn't bad because they have a decent roster. The Raiders are not necessarily bad, but they're usually willing to give control though. But I don't. They have a decent roster. But I think
Denver's with the Raiders. Jim Harbaugh is either going to the Raiders or he's using the Raiders to get more money from Michigan. I haven't figured it out yet.
I have a theory. Well, a couple of us have a theory. Somebody came up with a theory, and I fully believe it, that Stephen Ross said he was not going to be the one to pull Harbaugh from Michigan because he's the biggest donor in Michigan history. So he's not going to pull. And look at the talent that Michigan has this year. How many guys we have? Like 5 or 10 guys we like into the NFL at different levels of the draft from that roster. So, so Ross doesn't want to pull him. Well, fine. So now if Vegas starts to pique his interest and pulls him, now all of a sudden he's not pulled from Michigan by Miami, and now Ross will say, well, if he wants to go to the NFL, I can just hire him now. Just a theory.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. That's interesting.
Blowing some mind.
I thought
it's not my theory. That was Jeremy Clump's
I took what
theory.
Stephen Ross said. And I was like, well, I guess he's not going to Miami.
Yeah, but Ross is never – he's smarter than I think he leads on. He's not lying to you. He's not telling you the whole truth. It's the way he words things, and you got to pay attention to the way he words things.
The way he does things.
Maybe he's real estate. Maybe he just knows lawyer talk because he's a real estate tycoon. So he knows how to like work his words, like a salesman. So Get you on the technicality.
Watch out for them shysters, man. The shysters. Well, that's a possibility and it would make sense if he was swinging for the fences with Jim Harbaugh, because that's definitely a big fish and definitely a lot of disappointment with letting go of Brian Flores. So
I got another one for you, Adrian. Another one for you. So, talking about Jim Harbaugh. Brett's a Miami fan. He might go there. Michigan has a running back, Hassan Haskins. Miami needs running backs.
Yes.
And we're talking about the Senior Bowl. Let's pump it up. We're talking about the Senior Bowl, man. My brothers are headed to the Senior Bowl late this month, early next month. So, Michigan running back. Hassan, what's his name again?
Hassan Haskins, running back, Michigan.
Haskins will be checking in at the Senior Bowl this year, man. Let's talk about it.
I can't wait to see him in person. I really can't wait to see him in person.
Mm-hmm. So I watched one game of his. I'm going to be so transparent as possible about how many games I watched. Most people I watch 3. I saw he's a powerful runner, but he hits the line of scrimmage a lot of times and he reminds me a lot of what DeAndre. I'm probably not even thinking of his name right. I want to say DeAndre Baker, but the Lions Georgia running back.
Lions Georgia running back?
Yeah. Who's the running back that Georgia got, or that the Lions got from Georgia?
Well, hang on. Not
Come on, Brett.
So he reminds me of the way his vision is.
DeAndre
Swift. He reminds me as far as that, because I remember DeAndre Swift at Georgia. He would just run into every offensive lineman possible, and it just gets so frustrating. You can see the power in Hassan Haskins. I just don't see the vision with him, and I probably have to watch a couple more games. But he looks like a powerful guy. He looks like he's a good 3 to 4 yard rusher. But I don't see anything special with him.
He's a grinded out guy. Their other back,
number 7, I think it is.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think he's coming out this year. Got some. He's their explosive back. He's got better vision. But Hassan Haskins is the one that would kind of put the game away. That they would kind of chew clock up with. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of guy you need on your roster, the one that just kind of grinds out yards and tough runner. You know,
I want him to be in a committee though.
Yeah. You don't want him as a starter, as an every down back. You definitely don't really want him too much in a zone because his vision is hit or miss.
Yeah.
I mean, he can get better, but
for sure, yeah. I wonder how many years he's been playing football, because I hate it when running backs hit offensive linemen. I really do.
He's a 4-year junior.
And I wonder, okay. What's up?
I want to jump in so bad. I can't believe this. I can't believe that we're going to go Senior Bowl and we're going to talk running backs, and you open with Hassan Haskins, and you're not talking about him like he's a stud, and we haven't taken a minute to say, congrats to your Georgia Bulldogs.
There we go. Damn right.
We're talking running backs. We're talking Senior Bowl. We need to start with Josh. Shout out to your Georgia Bulldogs for getting the big win, man. And let's talk James Cook, man. Let's talk James Cook for a second.
I was just getting ready to say, how about the 2 backs that'll be down there that were in that game, and Brian Robinson and James Cook? We get to see
my two favorite running backs in this draft. Brees Hall, obviously. I think he's the number 1. People will fight me on that. Brees Hall, yeah.
Okay.
People will fight me for it. A lot of people are going to say Kenneth Walker. I think that's just he was a Heisman candidate. He had so many rushing yards. But let's stick with the Senior Bowl guy. Yeah,
but I think Cook plays a lot like his brother.
So my comparison,
I love bloodlines, man.
My comparison was, and I'm going to draw a blank on this guy's name too. The Saints running back. Oh, God. Yeah,
Which
Alvin
one?
Kamara.
Alvin Kamara? Okay.
But Dalvin Cook running style. Like he's the
Sign
back
me
of
up.
Kamara, Dalvin Cook running style. I don't think he's as explosive as Alvin Kamara is, but he has that I'm an all-around back. I can do everything like Kamara.
If you're a zone run system, he's perfect. Like his brother, they have vision. They can see the field so well. Yeah.
But here's the thing. If Georgia used him as every other team used their running back this year, like Kenneth Walker was used, like Breece Hall was used, like Brian Robinson was used, you might be talking about number one quarter or running back overall because he literally does everything.
But he doesn't have the wear and tear, which is nice because
exactly that's another positive.
Like Zamir White got a lot of carries. They had 3 backs? They had Zamir White, Cook,
4,
and
Milton.
Okay, 4. So you had they didn't really beat the hell out of their backs. Like Alabama will ride one back all year, so you had that with Robinson at least for this year.
Robinson,
but like then again with Alabama, the next man up, so they ride that run back for a year or two, then it's the next man, so
next guy.
But with Georgia, they're running that committee, so it's like it doesn't have that wear and tear.
I'm nervous about when I see a running back look really good at Alabama. I'm nervous if it's a system or if this guy's really going to be good. Because am I getting Derrick Henry or am I getting Trent Richardson?
Well, you got to think.
Josh Jacobs is pretty good, but
okay, that's
So Derrick Henry took a little bit to get going. He wasn't ready to get going straight out the gate. He kind of had to figure out his body in the NFL.
Okay.
And then Mark Ingram took a little bit to get going as well. I think the only recent history running back that started out the gates was Josh Jacobs having a great year. But I don't think...
And he kind of faltered.
Yeah. But Brian Robinson, I think, is a different running back than Alabama's ever had. He's not a speed guy. He's not the most powerful guy. He's not the crazy receiver out of the backfield. He does all that very well. He's not going to be the best at it in his class. But what he will do is he will be a difference maker in the passing game as far as blocking. He's one of the best pass blockers as a running back I've seen come out in a while.
He's probably one of the most willing pass blockers I've seen in a while.
And he will, I feel like for that Alabama team on offense, you take him out of that offense and it's a completely different game. He's the heart and soul of that offense because what he does against Georgia, the championship, not the national championship, the SEC championship, everyone's saying, oh, he's not going to be there. He's not going to be there. He was a little beat up. But Georgia got through the line a couple times and almost got a sack. But we didn't have a sack the entire game. But he was there to clean up those people that got through those leaks and knocked them off their feet. He's a special player in the passing game as far as that. But then he's good at that safety valve player. And he'll be there 1-2 yards and he'll run for 5-6 yards after that. Like I say, it's nothing. The only thing he's very special at is pass blocking, but he's really good at everything else. And I will take that over a lot of these people that, oh my God, he'll run you out the gym. He has the softest hands in the world. But I'll take someone that's really good at a lot of things, and he can protect my quarterback at the same time.
I like that. I think that when you're thinking running back, we spoke about this a few weeks ago. When you're thinking running back now, you don't think Barry Sanders, Adrian Peterson, LaDainian Tomlinson. You're thinking committee, and you're thinking, can this guy protect the QB? And can this guy catch out of the backfield? Can he do all the things? Because the way the offenses run now, you don't see a lot of those bell cow running backs anymore that are just going to go out there and give you 20 carries for 100 yards. There's not that many Dalvin Cooks and Derrick Henrys in the NFL anymore. So I agree with you.
Have you?
A lot of these offenses are setting up the pass or setting up the run with the pass. That's 90% of the league. You don't have very many offenses that are run the ball first. Well, I mean, the Ravens were, but I don't even know if they're really doing that as much as they were. But really, the Titans are the ones that are successful at doing that. And then when Harbaugh comes back in the league, he's going to be the one doing that. And who knows if that's still successful anymore. But
That's the
running the
thing.
ball works, but you have to have an identity. And a lot of these teams, it's passing the ball.
It's passing. When you look at the teams right now that we're looking at as a potential Super Bowl or champions, it's about the QB and it's about airing it out. I mean, off the top of my head, I'll throw it to you guys, but Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, it's really it's the whether they win or lose is predicated on how they do at QB. There's not a lot of teams where you say, man, we really need our running back to get 100, 150 yards anymore.
Right, yeah. But I mean, like, then you look at the Colts as another team when, Taylor's running for 100 yards, they're undefeated. So it's
they didn't make the playoffs.
Don't tell PFF that.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, like the problem is, like, that's how they run their offense. But the problem is, if your quarterback can't back that up or can't carry the offense, at some point he's going to have to. But real quick, one running back that I'm looking forward to down there is Damian Pierce out of Florida.
That was my next person I was going to ask. Who does he remind you of? Because body-wise and frame-wise, and it could just be the number, but Ray Rice.
He's a little taller than Ray Rice.
He's got that
bowling ball where he bounces off.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't overly productive at all.
No.
But he averaged still 5.7 yards a carry. He's never really been overly productive. He's never had a 100-yard gain. But I think he can be one of those guys that's under the radar and gets drafted and has a really good NFL career.
Did you watch Devontae Price?
Who?
Devontae Price. FIU running back. All right,
No.
I'm interested in him. He's like he's a footwork guy. He cuts real quick, speed guy, but he runs straight up. I'm curious about him at the Senior Bowl.
He's a smaller guy, isn't he?
He doesn't look small. He looks tall. He could just be run straight up, but he looks a little taller. Maybe 6 foot, 6'1". I don't know.
Let's see. Bring him up. He's 6'2", 15. No, I'm thinking of somebody else.
Yeah.
I might be thinking about FAU running back.
While you're doing that, though, the wide receivers. I saw a guy, Dontario Drummond. I don't know if you watched him. I personally think he can do a little Deebo Samuel type things.
Deebo Samuel's amazing.
Oh, he's a monster. But he's got that thick lower half.
Mm-hmm.
He gets the yards after the catch. He has strong hands. And he has good vision. And I want to see him kind of be... I'm not going to say he's Deebo because he's not Deebo. Deebo's on another level. He's the best at what he does right now. But I think you can use him like Deebo, and you can get some production out of him.
Absolutely.
And I'm excited about that player. He's my number one wide receiver at the Senior Bowl right now.
I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. Teams are looking at Deebo Samuel and saying, how do I get that on my team? Go ahead, Brett.
Well, so, the copycat league, everybody's going to be looking for that now, and everybody's going to think everybody can do it just because they're, they have that ability or they're athletic or whatever. But these guys, like Deebo Samuel, is a different breed. I mean, he didn't get that nickname Deebo just for nothing. But no, that Dontario Drummond he's a physical receiver. Apparently, that's been Ole Miss's bread and butter with their receivers here lately, and they've had some pretty good receivers. So I could see Dontario Drummond being the next, receiver coming out of there. That I mean, the dude's physical at the point of attack, and I really don't know how Ole Miss just isn't it.
Churns them out.
How do you guys have so much talent and you guys struggle to compete?
Quarterback
talent's there. Yeah,
Lane Kiffin.
I mean, I really like Drummond a lot, and I think he was the go-to guy for Carroll, but man.
So I'm going to hijack you real quick, Adrian. Just to hit on my receivers real quick. My next, Dontario Drummond is my number one wide receiver. Number two is Reggie Robertson Jr. SMU.
Yes. I'll send you to him.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic. I didn't write notes about him because I was so excited about him. He is such a deep threat. I love him. He's just a special athlete too. and he has good hands. I love what he can be. I think he could be a really good deep threat for a team.
Yeah,
but he does more than just being a deep threat.
Yeah, he's. I don't want to say he's polished, but at the same time, he's smooth. He is so smooth watching him play. Yeah, I really like him and how he high points the football. I'd say he's 6 foot. I don't know that he's 6'1", but yeah, I really like his tape. I'm excited to see him and see like what he looks like and how he's built, in person. That's going to be fun to see.
So just to touch on another guy, this will be my last wide receiver. I'll let you guys go after. He's my number 5 receiver right now, Alec Pierce, and 5 receiver at the Senior Bowl. Alec Pierce, Cincinnati. So when you watch him on film, he's what's that?
A possession guy.
Yeah, but when you watch him at the line and you see him lined up, you see these long arms, you're like, man, he looks a little bit like T.O. when he's lined up there. And you see him running, he's got those big, long arms. He runs a lot like T.O., but he has such natural catching ability, unlike what T.O. had. He's not like but I love his arms, and I think he has potential to be a really good receiver at the next level. I don't know if he's going to be that white guy that plays in the slot or if he could be an outside receiver, but I like him, and I'm interested in how they use him at the next level and the Senior Bowl.
I thought DK Metcalf a little bit, but I see where you're coming from, and I want to just say this before we on wide receivers. I'm gonna shift to Bret after I say this. I get nervous looking at wide receivers in the draft, and I'm more comfortable with free agent wide receivers as an Eagles fan because I have no trust in my GM to pick the right wide receiver in the draft. Go ahead, Bret.
Well, the one guy I like that is going to be down there is Jalen Tolbert out of South Alabama. The guy is a playmaker. He had a pretty big year this year. The dude like puts up numbers. I know it's like who's it against, but like he had 1,000 yards last year, 8 touchdowns. He had 8 touchdowns and 1,400 yards this year, 82 receptions, 64 receptions. He's like the go-to guy in that offense. And so against Louisiana Lafayette, against a ranked team, he had one of his best games of his season with 6 receptions, 143 yards. And then against Tennessee, 7 receptions, 143 yards. So, when he's going against the upper competition on his schedule, yeah, he just turns it up. Southern Miss had 5 receptions, 168 yards. Like the dude just like he performs.
So the games I watched on him, I saw he had like he has concentration issues. I feel like he gets some stupid drops, and then he'll come back and he'll have a one-handed catch over his shoulder, and then he'll come back and make some crazy turnaround catch. Yeah. But he's got deep ball ability, and
he's got inconsistent concentration.
I feel like he plays smaller than what he is. Like, I'm watching him play, and I'm like, okay, he's a 5'10", 5'11" guy. What is he, 6'2"?
6'2", 6'3".
Yeah, so I'm like...
But you know what I liked about him most? And this is something that you can't, like, teach. And this is something that, you really can't just find too easy. Is that when the lights shine brightest, that's when he showed up.
Oh, yeah. Most. Yeah, I love that.
Against Coastal Carolina this year, who had a good season, he had 10 receptions, 191 yards. You know what I mean? I'm not saying Coastal Carolina is some powerhouse, but it's like when you're looking at his strength of schedule and you see like his toughest opponents like that stand right out, like, Louisiana Lafayette was ranked, Arkansas, or no, not Arkansas. You'd say Coastal Carolina, Tennessee. He performed. And that's something I like to see. There is some inconsistency in his play, but I'm really curious about him in the NFL. Like, because if he could step up in college like that, I want to see what he does in the NFL.
Interesting. A lot of talent in the draft coming up this year with the running backs, wide receivers. You guys are going to the Senior Bowl, man. I want to pivot a little bit and just talk to Bret and Josh a little bit, man. You guys are going to the Senior Bowl. I don't know if this is your first time going, but just to give our listeners a little bit of the atmosphere, I'll say, as far as what you're looking to do. It's the end of this month, beginning of next month. Talk to me a little bit about the Bret and Josh experience at the Senior Bowl, man. What are you guys looking forward to about the Senior Bowl, man? We've had a few conversations, and there's some stuff going on outside of the game. Talk a little bit about that before we move on to the offensive line.
I'm personally excited to get there. Obviously, see the players, get to see how they practice, but
yeah,
I'm excited to talk to some people, like watching the players just like us, get to know what they think, have conversations about these players. Because Bret and I have been to pro days before, and we talked to the scouts, and you kind of get a little insider information. You get to see where scouts are thinking. They might not tell you exactly what they're thinking, but you can throw out like Hassan Haskins' name and be like, yeah, I think he's pretty good, blah, blah, blah. And they could be like, yeah, just expect him to go a lot higher than you expect. And it's just good to know that. And then you're like, oh, really? So you got to go back and watch the film and be like, okay, why did he say that? And figure it out. And I like that aspect of it.
Well, and the other part of it too, when you're talking to scouts, you get to talk to different scouts, and you'll see like different point of views. So you'll think like, well, okay, it's just this guy might just be system dependent, or this guy won't be system dependent, and so that'd be pretty cool. And the scouts are like willing to talk to you, like.
But they're all like, it's like a huge community there.
Yeah,
like all the scouts talk to each other, they talk about what they think about players.
Right. Like I've been to pro days, and I'm assuming the Senior Bowl will be like a bigger version. But where the guy like the scouts, they're all work the same region, so they're all at the same pro day, so they all BS with each other. They're all like, it's not like you'll see rival teams scouts talking to each other. Because like the scouting community is separate in a sense from the so like they're all doing the same thing. They're all so it's pretty cool. It's like to be a part of that or be around that camaraderie and see it, and then do it from a media perspective.
So I'm so really excited. Cool.
Yeah, I think other than just get to meet other people from other media outlets and get to talk to people face to face that I've communicated on Twitter for years with. So it's going to be pretty cool.
Bret, so just to piggyback off what you said, man, I think you're saying you're making some really strong points. You're speaking to the fact that like you get the pulse of what's going on with different fan bases and different teams and what they're looking at, and then be able to like, spitball ideas and just say, wow, I didn't see your perspective on this player or this team, what they're looking for in the draft, but now I do. So it'll just make you stronger,
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that one of the things that as a you don't follow Bret on his social media, you're missing out on some real strong Dolphins. Some real strong Dolphins.
Some angry tweets.
No, it's not even angry, man. It's like it's pretty much straight up about the Dolphins, man. I'm not even like
people come after Bret though.
They go at Bret, man. So if you're not getting the Broncos beat when you're talking to Bret, you're not getting the Los Angeles Chargers beat when you're talking to Bret.
You want me to tell you it's going to be all sunshine and rainbows? Nope, it ain't happening because it ain't been sunshine and rainbows for 20 years.
It's a roller coaster ride.
Dude, I was that Miami Dolphins vibe. So, at the end of the day, when you're talking to Bret, he's going to tell you all the things you want to know about the NFL draft. But at the end of the day, man, all roads lead to Miami Dolphins. So I think that, and to speak to that, I think it's cool for you guys when you're speaking about going to the Senior Bowl to just get like the pulse of what's it like for the guy that's sitting there looking at how do we get the Atlanta Falcons to the Super Bowl? How do we get the Minnesota Vikings to the Super Bowl? And you say, wow, I can look at it from your perspective and see why you are really looking to make this move or who's looking to get Russell Wilson, who's looking to get Derek Carr. So I think that it's going to make for a better Diamond State Scouting podcast in the long run. I'll leave it to you guys.
Yeah, and it's going to be cool because, the Senior Bowl is not the only talent. You got a lot of underclassmen that are really good, like Mechie and Justin Ross and all that stuff. And so you got a lot of talent out there outside of it, but there's a lot of talent there. Guys like Traylon Burks we won't get to see. But we'll get to see a guy like Jayon Dotson, which is exciting from Penn State, who's an explosive wide receiver, and I think could be a playmaker in the NFL, like right away. Then I get to see like a draft two tight ends that I love, Jeremy Rucker, Jake Ferguson. So it's just going to be exciting to see them up close and personal outside of film and say, okay, yeah, he plays how I saw him on film. And seeing in person is going to be different comparatively because you're like, oh, well, on TV he's slow. Then you get in person, like, well, he's really fast, and you're like, it's just because you're in person. That's why he looks really fast. And then comparative to everybody else on the field, he doesn't look as fast. So
yeah,
all right. And then sometimes it's better to see them in person to definitely because sometimes they look smaller on tape or they look bigger on tape. So that's going to be cool.
Yeah, man, I think that's solid, Brett. That's solid, Brett. So just to go rapid fire, man, let's close this episode. I'm really excited about the Senior Bowl. Let's just talk about one or two players from each position that we haven't talked about yet. I'm going to go offensive line because once I mention offensive line to you guys, man, it's like back off. You guys are going to go all in. So I'll look for one or two players from each of you on the offensive line. Let's go.
I got one that Josh is going to want. Go ahead. I know
I'll start.
I should have said. I should have let you guys have a draft on that.
Yeah, Bernhard Raymond.
Okay.
Kid is an absolute stud. He's an absolute stud. Central Michigan offensive tackle. 2 years ago, he was a tight end. 2020, he got moved to left tackle. 2021, he is an absolute stud. Body similar to Luke Jokel, I feel like.
Solid.
But other than getting caught off balance slightly, like I think he's potential to be skyrocketing upwards from the Senior Bowl. He has the most to gain from this Senior Bowl. Almost like I'm trying to think of the Chiefs left tackle from a couple years ago that got drafted because of the Senior Bowl and skyrocketed up to the number one pick, Eric Fisher. He could have that kind of skyrocket up. He's such a good run blocker. Like, you could tell he was a tight end prior to playing left tackle because his athletic ability, but he constantly gets from first level, second level, and then keeps going. I put on this kid's film and was amazed. Also to put on him, I know it's rapid fire, but he's an exchange Austrian student. So he came from Austria to come to America. So I feel like he's pretty raw at football altogether, but this kid's an absolute stud, and I'd love to look at now and then see in the future to see where he's going to go because sky's the limit for him.
Solid. And we both know from the chat that you've been definitely interested in him. Brett, I'm going to pass it to you, man.
So one guy I'm intrigued about, and he's not the typical height guy, so you might be able to kick him into tackle, or kick him in the guard, is Zion Johnson out of Boston College. Dude, 6'3", 215, but he is yoked up. Like I have him at guard. And he looks like you might be able to kick him inside the guard if he doesn't have the length, but he
played like guard, right? He was a left guard.
Yeah, he played guard, and then he played tackle for how many games? I don't remember how many tackles. Anyway, one of the games I watched, he played tackle. So, I really, really like him. I like his fluidity. Probably maybe better in a zone scheme, but I really like how he moves. He's tough. He brings a mental toughness. He just wants to bully people. He is physical. So I really like his game. But yeah, he played 11 games of left tackle. That's okay. I'm about to say, I knew I just read that he played left tackle, and I watched the game and played left tackle. But he played there because of injury. But I think ultimately he's a guard in the NFL.
Yeah.
And man, he moves so well. I really like him. He's one of those body perfect kind of guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he looks the part. Like he looks like he's like you would want an offensive lineman to look as far as like the lean offensive lineman, but still has the power. I like him. He's a fun watch. The only thing I will say, even though he's listed at 315, sometimes looks a little light in the seat or plays narrow base. But if he fixes his base, sky's the limit for him.
Yeah, I have him as my number 2 guard. Dylan Parham is my number 1 guard in the Senior Bowl.
Solid. So let's go let's go tight end. Brett, you go first this time.
So I love Jake
you,
Ferguson out of Wisconsin, man. So like he's not going to be the top tight end because everybody's going to want flashy and stuff, right? But Jake Ferguson, he's going to go out there and knock your block off, and then the next play he's going to make a 10-yard reception in traffic. So he's that old school tight end, and I'm a big fan. Like when you talk to top tight ends in the league, no disrespect to Travis Kelce because I love Travis Kelce, but I like George Kittle. Like that's the kind of play I like for my tight end. And you don't have to adjust your style. Like, okay, if I want to run the ball, my tight end is going to be there. If I want to throw the ball, I got my tight end. So a guy like that, like Jake Ferguson, I can run the ball with, or I can, without having to really tip my hand, like with a guy like who I love, Mike Gesicki, all right, I got to adjust how I'm using him. I can't use him in line. Where a guy like Jake Ferguson, I could line him up, and I can change the call to a run and not have to really adjust my personnel on the field and not really have to do a shift. And that keeps the defense guessing. And Jake Ferguson, he's going to he is tough. He is the kind of guy that he's going to make that tough catch in a key moment in traffic, get up and just energize the team. Like he brings that toughness, that swagger that you're looking for, and he does all the dirty work without complaining. And he's like not Gronkowski. I don't want to compare him to him, but he gives you that smaller, like aspect. Yeah. But he gives you that aspect of that physical blocker. And he's not big, but
He reminds me of a more polished version of Dalton Schultz.
Okay. Wow. All right, Josh.
Plays a better blocker too. So my guy's kind of like a tweener, I feel like. Isaiah Likely, Coastal Carolina.
I saw it coming.
He is, I think he'd be a fullback. You're probably going to use him as an H-back, but you could easily throw him at fullback. 6'4", 240. Great lead blocker. Like, he'll throw people to the side for you. But then also, you got this receiver that has soft hands, and he'll catch the ball, and then he'll start to take off. And you'll see, that's a cornerback he's outrunning. And it's just, he's an athlete, and he's not afraid to get dirty, and I think I love him.
He seems like
who he reminds me of?
Who's that?
Charles Clay. You remember him?
I like that.
Yeah.
He seems like a New England Patriot to me.
Yeah, when we had Charles Clay, he was like a fullback tweener. Then we moved him to tight end, and he got a little better run blocking, but then he became like a really dynamic receiver. We would use him in the backfield, use him as a tight end, use him as an H-back, and we'd move him all over. And the dude was just a playmaker, and he could block too, but that's who Likely reminds me of. He's a lot like him.
I just want to see him be a fullback. I really do. I want to see him play fullback and just see him be a weapon at the fullback position.
You talk about like Hughes Check and San Fran? Like that? I mean, like he can I could see that.
Oh my God, he could be such a weapon. Like his speed, I wouldn't be shocked if he runs a 4.40.
Well, yeah, and guys like that are difficult to game plan for because, hey, he's going to be in the backfield. Shit, okay, are they going to hand the ball to him? Are they going to throw it to him? Are they, going to use him to screen away from him to where we're flowing to him? Or are they we're going to flow to the back and then he's going to be on the backside open for a screen? So there's so many different variables, and I like him because he's physical too. He's not afraid to get physical.
And that's the thing. Like you normally see these. Because he's not the biggest tight end, 6'4", 240. But he will maul you in the run game. Like, just straight up come up and lead block for his running back and push you out the way, get to the next guy. And I'm a big fan of that kid.
I like it. So, all right. So, we talked a little bit about this earlier. We're going to close with the quarterback. Josh, you're up first, but what quarterback are you most interested in watching at the Senior Bowl coming up later this month? Early next month.
It's my obvious answer is Malik Willis. I think he's my guy. Willis watch. But I'm more interested in him because his 2020 film, I said this earlier in the show, was great. He regressed in 2021. He struggled to read the defense. He struggled with his mechanics. He always liked to throw off his back foot, but I feel like he regressed to that a lot more this year. But he has so much opportunity because with a flick of the wrist, he can throw it 40, 50 yards, no problem. And,
good runner. Good athlete.
Yeah, he's a great runner. He's the best off-platform quarterback in this draft. Tell me anyone else is. I'm telling you, he's a liar. You're a liar. Because
he is the best off-platform guy. He has like this. Man, one play's good, like he's lightning, and then a couple plays like I didn't like that.
Yeah.
So like, but I don't know. Like he's worth investing in. I'll put it that way.
Oh, for sure.
He has the tools.
I love it, Brett. I don't know if you were in on this, but we were talking about that earlier. We were talking about drafting a QB and letting him sit and groom him for a couple of years. And I feel like watching Malik Willis this year, I feel like, man, he would be the guy you want to just bring into your program and let him learn, like Minnesota. Let him learn under Kirk Cousins for a couple of years, before you send him to the fire. And
he makes sense for Pittsburgh too.
Yeah, definitely for Pittsburgh, definitely. I'm so interested in what Pittsburgh is going to do at QB. So I'm definitely paying attention to that.
I hate to say this because I was down on the guy last year, but he is this year's Trey Lance. Like as far as time to sit, I feel like he had better film. He has better film than Trey Lance did. You got to see more things correctly done by him. But
Jordan Love is sitting, right?
I was about to say that name, Jordan Love, man.
Yeah,
Jordan Love is sitting right now.
Carson Palmer sat, Phillip Rivers sat, Eli Manning sat. So it's not unheard of to sit. I mean, it's better to know what they are right away. But Malik Willis, unless you're going to a losing team, which could be the case because you could go higher to draft. Unless you're going to a team that's not ready to compete now, he's better off sitting behind a veteran quarterback. That would be ideal. I would like to see that, or sit in where you have a fringe starter at quarterback. Yeah, Atlanta would be great to learn from Matt Ryan if he's still there, assuming they don't trade him. That would be great to see. Willis, I don't think he needs I think he's further along than Trey Lance, but he does need time to get better, and he needs a team that's willing to be patient with him because he has a ton of tools.
I say he's this year's Trey Lance because the sky's the limit for this kid.
Yeah,
sky literally is the limit. There's no ceiling for him right now. He could come in and just
for Josh Allen, dude.
He's kind of like Josh Allen. He really is. He doesn't have the body, but the way he plays is kind of like Josh Allen.
Everybody is looking for that Josh Allen, like Jordan Love. Obviously they wanted Jordan Love because he had like the athletic ability, the big arm, and everything. And they're losing it. When are they going to lose Aaron Rodgers? They got Jordan Love. Trey Lance, the same thing. Big arm, athletic guy. Big guy making the plays. Malik Willis is a guy I would stick my neck out for in this draft if I had to pick a QB. The other one, Sam Howell at North Carolina.
No, a lot of people are down on him. Brett, I had
man. Go ahead. You didn't think I was going to? Oh shit! Hey, you're muted.
We lost you, Adrian.
I hit the mic. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I got so excited by Brett because I did not see him going Sam Howell. I saw him going Desmond Ridder that I slapped the mic. So
I like Desmond Ridder and all, but I think Sam Howell still has a chance. Okay. I don't know what he's going to be because he's been really up and down through his career. But as a freshman, he was really touted as the next coming of a quarterback. But I think what bothers me is as he lost talent in North Carolina, he really struggled. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you get to the NFL talent is better than what's at college, right? So when you're talking backups in college, you can have a major drop off. In the NFL, you're talking backups in the NFL, you're not having as much of a drop off as compared to college. So
his drop off was ugly though. It was ugly.
And he you talk about the talent he lost, but Yeah, because he lost what? Both running backs. He lost
De'Ami
two
Brown.
receivers. Yeah, De'Ami Brown, who he
I don't
really
think
trusted.
two.
And man, so he was struggling this year, but what I saw from him as a guy trying to do too much, so he was like forcing plays and just kind of like, screw it, I'm just going to make a play. But I can see him still being having a good NFL career. I don't know where his ceiling is because he's been so up and down, but I still like him, and I know he still plays really well off plane. I know he still can make a lot of throws. He has definitely a good arm. Who was it? PFF. Somebody said he had like a cannon, the strongest arm in the draft class.
Best arm in the draft class.
Like what? No, he has a good arm. It's not great. It's better like Baker Mayfield and Kirk Cousins, but it's not like an elite arm. But I can see
it's not Willis and Strong.
Right? Yeah, but I can see him being like a Kirk Cousins kind of guy. I can see that. I don't know. I think a West Coast offense or like an Andy Reid style offense could work for him.
Okay.
But I
see Johnny.
Like
I see Johnny football.
I don't see that with him. But I can see, you know who I can see with him, believe it or not, is Kyler Murray. The bad part of Kyler Murray. Where he's just kind of like screw, I'm just gonna throw it when plays break
I think we're seeing the same thing. Because Johnny football
that's like his floor. Like that's what I'm worried about with Sam Howell. That's why I wouldn't touch him day one.
Best thing to ever happen to Johnny football was Mike Evans.
100%. 100. I think that immediately I think that immediately.
But I do like Sam Howell. He's just got like this toughness to him, and I'd like to kind of like pick his brain too. But I'm excited to see what like he can do in the NFL. I'm excited to see him at the Senior Bowl because I think he can really revive his draft stock at the Senior Bowl. If he lights it up, it's going to be like, okay, you put some talent around this kid, he's going to be good. But I don't want a franchise quarterback. I don't want to have to say, well, I need to keep talent around him. I need to have a dominant O-line and run game in order for this kid to succeed because at some point injuries are going to happen and I'm going to need my quarterback to be there.
Yeah, got it. That's all solid, and I hope that you get an opportunity to sit down and chat with him because we opened this show talking about Sam Howell. I'll always look back at season 1, episode 1. We came on just after Sam Howell had played, I think, the opening night college football game. So no better place.
Virginia Tech.
Yeah, it was Virginia Tech, and that was the first
3
guy we
interceptions.
talked about. That was the first prospect we talked about on the Diamond State Scouting Podcast this season. So I definitely I'm looking forward to seeing what Sam Howell does, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys get an opportunity to chat with him and talk about it. I'm looking forward to our next episode where we'll talk about the defensive side of the ball heading into the Senior Bowl, and I can't wait to get to the Senior Bowl and talk to you guys about what you're seeing out there. Just the atmosphere, man. I'm fired up because I think this is going to take our show to the next level. Me personally, Brett, you weren't here for this. Me personally, I'm looking forward to finishing this episode and moving on to WandaVision.
Let's go.
I got one more episode of Hawkeye to watch, and I'm good. I'm caught up.
There you go. Tell them. So, just real quick, because we got to get out of here. The one scene in the hospital, because he doesn't know, of WandaVision is Emmy Award winning quality part of WandaVision.
He's pumped it up pretty big, Brett. He's saying this.
So I wasn't excited for WandaVision. I was excited for Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I was more impressed with WandaVision than Falcon and Winter Soldier. I like,
but that one scene,
Soldier, but WandaVision was probably better than Loki, better than Hawkeye. I think WandaVision was really good.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything for Adrian, but that one scene where she's in the hospital and something happens, and you're like, "Holy shit!"
Well, you have to watch it because it's really good. It's a really good show, and it sets up a lot. So it sets up a lot of the universe, and the angle they're taking is kind of what I expected after Thanos. This is exactly what I expected after Thanos. It's the only logical one. But, I've been actually watching X-Men from the 90s, the cartoon.
We're not talking X-Men. We already said that at the beginning of the show. We don't want to hear X-Men.
I can't wait till X-Men 97 comes out, man. I'm excited about it.
You walked into. We talked about this in the pre-show. We said we're talking MCU and we're not going off base. Shout out to the X-Men. Shout out to that cartoon. That's a fantastic cartoon.
X-Men 97 is going to tie X-Men into the MCU.
100%. It's gonna.
So that's why I'm watching it.
I feel like, all right, man, we'll do it. I feel
because the X-Men movies are not great. They're good movies for what they are. They're not great.
But the X-Men, when they finally come into the MCU, it's gonna be like the NWO, man. It's gonna be big, you know.
And can we get a badass to play Cyclops, please? Because I mean, Cyclops and Wolverine were badasses, and I need Rogue to absorb Ms. Marvel's powers in the MCU so we can have the badass Rogue. Do you know what I mean? I need that.
I think, hey Josh, I think that the Marvel podcast is something that we really need to look into because Brett
for sure
is on a whole nother direction, and I'm all for it.
Let's go.
I think yes. Let's do a comic book podcast. Yes, I'm all for that shit. Let's go.
So Josh Kimmel doesn't know what he's talking about. NWO for life. I try telling him constantly that wrestling sucks, but he doesn't get it. And then he comes back with Falcon and Winter Soldier sucks.
Are we talking about black and white, or are we talking about Wolfpack?
So
good point. I'm gonna go black and white. Because black and white is the original, and I mean, gosh, I could do this. The Hollywood Hogan, when he turned heel, tell me a greater moment in wrestling history than that. My heart was broken, man.
Yeah, and then when Sting went to the Wolfpack and he had the black and white paint, oh my god, man! Nash, Hall, Sting, Luger, Conan. Oh my god, dude, the Wolfpack was insane, dude.
Come on, man.
We're not putting any more comments from this guy. He's an absolute nerd. Come on out, bud.
That was back in the day, man. Wrestling was on top back then.
Wrestling was on top, and there's so many, man. The Attitude Era. All right, let's not. All right, I can go in a whole other direction.
We'll have you guys here's the thing. While we're down at the Senior Bowl, Josh Kimmel's going to be there. He's on Beer and Sports Podcast with me. So we will do an episode out there, and we will talk all this.
Can we talk wrestling?
We can talk whatever you want to talk about. We'll talk. It's literally just a conversation. So we will talk all this out there.
Yeah,
I love it. So we'll end it there. Hey, Josh, shout out to you, man, for reeling us in because this guy Brett, my guy, man, he's got me wanting to chase him with X-Men talk all night. But I'm gonna hop off and go check out some WandaVision and be ready to talk the defensive side of the ball in the Senior Bowl and talk this climactic Emmy Award-winning scene in WandaVision. You guys have anything else to add?
Only thing I gotta say, Dean Branch, Twitter, Brett Legacy 67, Josh Wingate 302. DSS Scouting, or it's DSS or DS Scouting. It's a little weird at first. You gotta get it right.
I said DSS.
DS Scouting, and then we're a part of the Say It Again Network.
Shout out to Say It Again Network. Shout out to DS Scouting on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Diamond State Scouting. Click like and subscribe. Check us out on our next episode. We'll be talking the defensive side of the football. This has been a great one. Fellas, episode 7's in the books.
Definitely. Appreciate you guys.
So next week.
Yes, indeed.